Good morning, everyone. This is Sheila with Middle School Art Madness, and I'm getting ready to do a pouring slash swipe. The colors I'm using this morning are Liquitex basic colors, Brilliant Purple, Prism Violet, Raw Sienna, Brilliant Yellow Green, Naples Yellow Hue, and Unbleached Titanium. I have mixed those with a glue and water mixture, 70-30, 70% clear glue, 30% water. And I have put 5 drops of silicone roughly in each color. My swipe color has a little bit more of the pouring medium, less paint. So it's 1.5 part paints, or 1.5 part pouring medium, 1 part paint, excuse me. And the swipe color is 2 parts pouring medium, 1 part paint. So it's just slightly thinner. I'll be swiping it with a piece of folder that I have trimmed and using it to pull down. Now I know you'll be able to see everything because this is a pretty large canvas this morning, a 20 by 24. This is the silicone that I've used, about 5 drops of each. I didn't say that already. Now, I also have a little sort of a palette stick here, or a scraper, and it's plastic, and I've got it from Amazon like most of my materials. And Michael's, another good source for me. I will be using a torch, and it's about a $20 one from Amazon. Welcome. This is just a Michael's canvas, and let me start off with some interesting color blends. I'm going to do my cream, and I'm just going to take these. I'm going to leave the top part, the part towards you, the last 3 or 4 inches colorless. And I'm going to swirl these colors around on here, sort of willy-nilly, but yet I'm doing something that I want. And I've not done too many of these. I've done just enough to make it interesting. I'm learning some of what to do and some of what not to do. And I'm finding out there's always plenty of the what not to do. So we're going to see what happens. Got a little close to the edge there and lost some paint. For this being willy-nilly, it takes a little higher concentration than I'm always able to deliver for some reason. I get kind of excited when I get seeing these colors. Okay, just using some little cups here. Right now I'm using disposable ones, but my goal is to get some that are reusable. And I have some that are reusable that are just smaller, because I support less plastic on the earth. I've already purchased these and I'm going to use them. Sometimes I rinse them and reuse them. But I'm all about conserving the planet because I too have grandchildren and want to save the earth for them to enjoy as well. Future generations. Anyway, welcome in. I hope you've been doing some pouring. It's a fun thing to learn. And like I said, I've been doing this, but I've only been doing it for a little while, and I haven't done a ton of them. I've done maybe, 8 or 10. I've done just some pure pourings where I poured it on like a shower curtain, tacked to a board, and then peeled off the paint after it dried after a few days, and cut those out and used them in different artworks in the shapes that I wanted to use them in. So this technique would be utilized in some sort of way, but not in the purest form of keeping it sort of random. And that's what this is all about, in my opinion, is keeping it sort of random. So that's the part we're going for today. My last color going on before my swipe color, and that's the Naples Yellow. I'm going to go a little heavy with that down here because I didn't have as much paint down here on the bottom for whatever reason. And then after I get all this on there, which we are just about there, I'm going to do some tilting and moving around the paint. And then I'm going to do possibly a little bit of a, before I do my main swipes, I'm going to do a little bit of a swirling with my little plastic scraper tool, which for some reason the term I want to use for that isn't quite coming to my mind. You know how that goes. Okay, so just a little bit of tilting here, this way and that, to get the paint sort of evenly distributed across the surface. This is sort of a desert mix, if you will. That's kind of what I'm thinking of it as. But the swap color is going to be the darker purple, the prism violet. And I am saying prism with an M, not prison. Of course, that would be a very interesting color to think about too. A little tongue-in-cheek there. Okay, so now I like to go off the edges when I normally do pours, but I'm not going to do so much of that on this one. I'm going to go back to center for a second here. And you can see how I've left that top edge uninvolved, except that little spot I got there unintentionally. We'll see what happens there. So now I'm going to take this and do just some swirls in here. Why? Because I can. And I want to. Not too much, because I do want to have some of those colors still separate. But I definitely want some swirls. After I go over it once or twice here, I'm going to let it rest a minute so it kind of levels back out on itself. And I can already see that there are some cells beginning to form. Already see them when I disturb that surface. The cells are beginning to form. You gotta love that. That's when you know things are gonna work out. Maybe not exactly the way you want them. How do they ever, in life or otherwise? Now for the dark purple. It's gonna be kept on the top here. And I'm gonna go back and forth with it right here. I don't know how much of that you can see. Let me pull this down just a hair so you can see some of this. I'll let you see in a second. But those top 3-4 inches that I had nothing in to speak of, that's where this dark purple is going. And I'm going to try to get it fully covered all the way to the edge and corners there. So let me get where you can see this. I apologize that you cannot see it the way I want you to just yet. In a moment. Okay, so I'm going to scoot it back just a hair so you can see what I've done here. Now, tilting it around, taking my finger and pushing it to the corners, along the edges, getting on every edge. There we go. So it's all got prism violet on it. A little bit left in the cup, and I'm going to take that out and put it in 1 or 2 places where it still needs a little. Getting that joined together with the other paint right there. Okay, so now for the swipe. A little more tilting. Again, you can see what's going on here a little bit now. A little bit of tilting this way and that. Let me take this little friend of mine here again and do just a little bit of light movement here where I can get this over to the corners where I want it. And all the edges have something on them. Because I don't like naked areas once I start swiping. Trying to avoid getting the purple yet because it's going to come down in the swipe. I may have gotten just a hair of it though. The wonderful thing about this is there's really no exactness to it. So you kind of have to let go of that control freak business. Or at least that's what I'm finding I must do. Okay, now for the swipe part. I'm going to take this right here. Let's tilt this down just a hair more, see if I can. Then I'm going to put it even with the edge up here. I want these edges. I'm tilting it forward just a hair because some of that purple is trying to come away from the edge there. You know, these are always so unpredictable. You never know what you're going to get. It's kind of like a box of chocolates. So I'm going to put it flat on the edge. I'm going to do 2 swipes. I'm going to start off the edge And then try to get it even and just ever so gently pull. Pull, 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 pull as straight as possible. This may take 3 pulls and I wouldn't be surprised. Come over here and do some wiping on my paper towels, which I have handy right here. Oh man, I think I'm already loving this piece. That purple, woo, that's doing some stuff here for me. I'm loving that purple. Trying to wipe this paper off or this plastic off to get it clean, relatively clean again, and ready for the next swipe. And I think I'm about as good as I'm going to get it right there. If you wanted to be fussier with it, you could. Again, back off the top edge, making sure it's level on the surface as much as you can, and doing that nice pull. Gosh, I missed a big piece there. A big swath was missed, so I'm going to have to do some cleanup, some repair, some damage control, which seems to be the story of my life these days. Damage control. Okay. And then a third swipe over here. It has to go off this edge. You know, I'm going to flip this baby over. We'll see what we get. Again, sort of like a box of chocolates, right? You never know what you're actually going to get. Oh yeah, that was fun. A big old mess, but a lot of fun. I'll let some run off up here. I know, I'm breaking all the rules today. Another story of my life. Breaking rules before I even know I'm breaking the rules. That's why you make up the rules as you go. And then, if you break them, no one has to know but you. That's kind of where I'm at. So, yep, I'm puddling under the floor here. Let's go back up this way, baby. I'm going to save some of this paint. Got a couple spots here that could use a little making up, not breaking up business. Oh man, I gotta say there is a lot of gorgeousness going on though. I'm really liking it. Coming back down here to do another sweep off the floor. Yes, I got a dribble on there. Well, luckily I've got an old shower curtain down here that's really resistant to moisture, so nobody has to know but you and I that I've made a big old mess. You know what? It's one of those things. It's kind of a messy thing, but somebody's got to do it, right? Artwork. It's worth it. What can I say? At least that's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. Okay, so I can see that my purple up here is a little funky. I'm going to tilt forward a hair because I want that purple to go off the edge if I can get it to up there. It's leaving too much gap. Too much white space. You know, on some of my earlier paintings, not that I've done many, but you know, I've done a few, and I've used on the surface a pouring medium or a gesso, and that does help with the flow a little bit, so I may have to get back to that. This is what I was doing, kind of the style I did my first big pour in, and I gotta say I absolutely loved it, and I'm loving this one too. I've got a mess on my hands, which is not unusual for me. That's why I wear gloves. You can see this has got some beautiful cell development in it. I must say, I'm actually more excited about it for some reason. I did not expect to be this excited about it. And I hate to say that, but it's true. I haven't poured in a few days or painted in a few days, and I was kind of thinking I just need to do something to get back in the groove here. And that was what I was doing today. Because too many days without color, it's just that, too many days without color. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is grab my torch, my little friend Torchy, and do a little bit of firing up here. Here it is again. I love it because it's pretty safe to use. And that's what I need, something pretty safe to use. Now this does a couple of things. It helps to get the cells developing a little bit faster. I'm going to do a nice back and forth movement here. And it helps pop bubbles. You got to be careful that your base doesn't hit your painting because that can make a gouge and you don't want that. I know I don't want that in mine. So again, sweeping back and forth, keeping it moving. Guys and gals, keeping it moving. Woo. Wow, I am really loving what I'm seeing here. So, put this to the side, pointing away from me because I don't want to get burned. I hope you're loving this. I used Elmer's clear glue, tap water, 70-30, 70% glue, 30% tap water, and that went into the paints at a 1.5 pouring medium to 1 part paint ratio. And then in the swipe color, which was my dark purple, that was 2 parts pouring medium to 1 part paint. About 5 drops of silicone in each cup, and then slinging it across, slipping it around a little bit, swiping it a little bit with a small sort of spatula type tool. And this is what I've got. Now I hope you can see this. It's quite beautiful. I'm going to see if I can't get it down here and get a little more for you. Yeah, well, this is Sheila signing off for today. I hope you get some painting in. Have a blessed day.